You are listening to Making It in the Toy Industry, episode number 240.
Welcome to Making It in the Toy Industry, a podcast for inventors, entrepreneurs, and makers like you. And now, your host, Azhelle Wade.
Hey there, toy people. Azhelle Wade here, and welcome back to another episode of Making It in the Toy Industry. This is a weekly podcast brought to you by thetoycoach.com. Today on the podcast, we've got my friend and founder of this cute cuddly plush that I have in my arms if you're watching the YouTube video, Marina Khidekel. So Marina is the founder of Hugimals World, a 2-year-old award-winning toy and wellness brand that makes lovable, premium weighted plush for anxiety and sleep. I actually keep my Hugimal on my bed at all times. It's me, my Hugimal, and my husband, as I was telling Marina at night. Hugimals has been recognized in Time Magazine, Parents Magazine, Good Housekeeping's Best Toys, and the Today Show's It List. And this toy has been a Toady nominee for the best plush. Prior to launching Hugimals World, Marina was a health and wellness journalist and editor at Women's Health, Glamour, and Cosmopolitan, and a chief content officer for Thrive Global. She currently writes a column on founder life for Inc. Marina, welcome to the show, and I'm excited to hear more about your founder's journey.
Thank you so much, Azhelle. So great to be here with you. I love this podcast. I'm so excited.
Yay! I'm so happy to have you. I don't know what I've been waiting for. I think I have too much to do. But before we dive into my questions, I want you to answer this one question for me. The thing that surprised me most about the toy industry was...
Oh, how long some of the people have been doing it. When I went to my first toy trade show, it was amazing. It was like there's people who have owned stores or been founders or been at toy companies for 30, 40 years. It's a really established industry and there's a lot of innovation happening.
Yes, that's so true. Yeah, some people have been in this industry for 40 years. And I still remember walking into my first day at my first toy job and thinking, I can't even imagine doing this for 4 years. It wasn't the toy industry. It was like, I can't imagine coming to the same building, doing the same job for 4 years. And there are people out here, they will retire at a company if you let them. They will.
Absolutely.
And I get it now. When I was 20, I didn't get it, but now I get it.
It's true. I mean, it speaks to how magical this industry can be.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so first, I would love to start with talking about the early stages of launching a toy plush brand. What inspired you to start a toy brand, specifically one in the health and wellness space? Was it something that you saw when you were researching and writing articles?
It goes earlier than that. So I grew up in Ohio, but I moved to the United States when I was 2. My family immigrated from Russia. And like a lot of immigrant families, mental health was not really discussed in my family. It was, if you're not bleeding or dying, pick yourself up. What are you complaining about? We didn't move to this country for you to complain. I read teen magazines to sort of understand that other people were talking about mental health and there's different ways to be and there's help out there. And so I vowed to do that, to work in magazines and help other girls and women. And that's what I did for 20 years. I worked in magazines and then I went to run content for Thrive Global, Ariana Huffington's health and wellness enterprise app. I did that for 4 years. But while I was at these jobs, I had a lot of stress, especially at night. Like the media industry was changing. There's constant layoffs. And if you weren't laid off, you absorbed 3 people's jobs. And it was just a lot, and that was me. And I couldn't sleep at night. My mind would race constantly and I calm it down. I tried a weighted blanket and I liked the weight of it. It's called deep touch pressure. I really liked that, but the whole blanket felt a little bit smothering to me. And so I actually was using my husband's arm as a weight to help me fall asleep. And that worked for me, but not for him, sadly. So when he was like, you got to find something else, I started researching other smaller weighted products. I found some weighted plush, but at the time there weren't many. They weren't very weighted. They weren't very aesthetically pleasing and they didn't hug you back. And that's what I wanted. So I ended up just making a prototype, hiring an amazing prototype maker to make one for me. And we went from there. But basically I just wanted a stuffed animal that was heavy enough to work in adults, that was aesthetically beautiful enough that I wouldn't be embarrassed to have it out in the living room and that hugged you back. And I wanted it to work for kids and adults. And that's sort of now with a physical product, my mission to help people with stress and anxiety and mental health. I was doing it with journalism and now I'm doing it with a physical product.
Your product created a category in the toy industry, a category which I believe was budding from the pandemic, but
Mm-hmm.
no one took the leap to build an entire brand around it and then put weight behind that brand. There are other weighted plush brands, but the weight like you put behind it said, I know people need this and I'm going to talk about it like it is the hottest thing, the most necessary thing. Like, I mean, all of these magazines and publications you've been featured in weren't an accident. You got yourself out there and you got visible with your product. But when I think about, like, I have seen other weighted products, but what yours has that's so special is like a style. You can see like Hugimals World has like a soft, almost pastel mixed with nature color palette. Maybe it's a soft nature color palette, actually.
I love that.
Yeah, it's like so Hugmal's like a soft nature color palette. The design of the characters is consistent. The vibe of the brand, it's like home decor almost. Having that cohesive of a brand is not an easy feat. Did you
No.
know what you were creating? Did you already have a clear vision, or did you listen to people along the way that were giving you feedback? Make his eyes a little bit like this. Calm down those colors a little bit like that. Tell me a little bit about building out this brand.
Yeah, really great observation. And I love that term that you used. You're right. Like, I am an aesthetically driven person. I wanted something that was beautiful and high quality, and adults would want to use it as well as kids. And so I started with the animals and I started with a color palette, which is inspired by river rocks. So all the colors are sort of inspired. So you got
Oh.
it when you said nature driven. So smart.
Oh.
Yeah, you're
Mm.
so observant. So the eyes, I wear eyeliner and everyone was like, did you make them to copy your own eyes?
Oh
I was
my
like, oh,
gosh.
after
That's
I made
hilarious.
them, I was like, I didn't know. But of course, like, I worked with professionals to do this. I am not a character artist. I still work with the character artist, and we were creating these and creating the prototypes for them. And she's amazing. And she really gets the look that I'm going for. So I was working on this line for 4 years behind the scenes when I had full-time jobs, not sure if I was going to launch it or license it or what to do. In that time, I interviewed a lot of experts, so psychologists, occupational therapists, toy designers. I wanted to do all the research. So when I launched it, I knew it would be like buttoned up and a really, really high quality product that could actually help people. And so when I spoke with psychologists, they suggested that plush stuffed animals that were always smiling, like big perma smiles, they can come off actually as aggressive or judgmental to kids, especially when they don't feel like smiling, when they don't feel great.
Mm.
So they suggested make them pleasant and make them sweet, but make them empathetic. And I was trying and trying to do that. And we ended up not having them smiling at all. And a lot of people
Yeah.
tell us, oh my gosh, like, I come home from work and, Charlie the puppy is looking up at me and telling me everything's going to be okay. And that's exactly what I was going for. Like, I wanted them to be empathetic to whatever you were feeling. They were there to help.
Yeah, it's not like when you're in a bad mood and your plush is, hey, and you're just like, no, dude, we're not at that
Yeah.
level right now. I have to go back to what you said. You hired experts. And I have to go back to this because I have a program, Toy Creators Academy. I know you haven't taken this program, but I should show you inside of it. But
Yeah, I'd love to see.
what I am always teaching my students is like, hire the help. I have a list of service providers. You should work with them. And so many people, actually not my students, but people that are on the fence of joining, and they'll have a one-on-one
Yeah.
call with me to see if they should join. They'll show me what they've done already, and I'll see their brand isn't quite there. It's so hard to explain why, but I'm feeling like we're getting somewhere with your story, because what is missing from some brands, and honestly, you don't even know you're missing it because you can't know
True.
without having the 10, 15 years
So
of
true.
experience designing toys. But like what Marina has is a brand that was founded on a solid aesthetic. You had a vision. River Rocks was your vision. I'm assuming, I could be wrong. You had some sort of mood board visuals you gave your designer.
I'm not that organized.
So that's what I want to know. Like, how did you explain your vision to your designer that she carried it all the way through for you? Because I see so many people where it's not carried through.
True. So I didn't know anything about the toy industry. I'm a journalist, I'm a magazine editor. Here I am, like, not knowing what to do, wanting to make a product that didn't exist and thinking, it's a stuffed animal, so toy. So I went to New York Toy Fair. I actually went a couple of years in a row with my journalist badge, and I had to turn it around because so many people wanted to talk to me. We can talk
Oh my
about that.
gosh.
So I went and I was just looking under the hood of these big companies being like, okay, well, I'm interviewing all of these experts warning of a child mental health crisis. This was like even pre-pandemic, through the pandemic, after the pandemic. The only thing for mental health is fidget spinners. Why is nobody making a nice one of these? And so I realized nobody was doing it. And I was like, okay. So I looked online. I found a prototype maker who had worked with other brands in the toy industry. I live in New York City. She was in upstate New York. And I emailed her and I was like, can you help me? The first prototype we made was not this. It wasn't bad, but I didn't necessarily have this vision from the start. My inspiration was my mother-in-law had a puppy plush that she got in 1952, and we still have it. And it's in our closet, and like she comes over and visits it, but it lies on its side. It's like sleeping. She named it Taffy. And it's this color is a different construction. It's like a sleeping flat bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, laying down. Like, that's great. Like you could just lay it on you. Like it's sleep. These are for sleep. Blah, blah, blah. So the first prototype was this size, but it was in that construction. Yeah. And it was a gray puppy. It wasn't this color. And I loved it. And I still have 3 of them in my closet. What happened was I originally wanted to license the idea. I ended up doing that with some help at Toy Fair 2020. And I licensed it to a company who bought other toy companies. And they had purchased a great baby company. They make this Twilight Turtle. The founder of Cloud, Linda Suh, she was there at the time. And she helped me so much. She helped me like find the right factory, find a seamstress. And we went through some terrible prototypes, I will tell you. But when we found the right professionals, like a seamstress and a character artist that worked, I remember getting samples, sending them back because they weren't right, getting samples. And then finally one day I got a box. I took our Sam the Sloth Hugimal out of the box and I looked at his little face and I was like, we got it. Like, this is right. I knew instantly that this was the Hugimal. And then we went on from there to do the other animals. We launched with just 4. Now we have 6. And so in time, that company got bought by a media company. They no longer put out physical products. So I inherited about 10,000 units of inventory.
Right.
And it wasn't without fees. Like I had to pay storage. There was a lot of like complications with people involved. And it wasn't an easy thing. Like, here, I just have an inventory now. And but at that point, when I had to make a decision, what do I do with this thousands of pieces of inventory? Do I throw them away or do I quit my job and my career and start a business selling weighted stuffed animals? I decided to start my own company and start Hugimals World because at that point I had done a toy foundation actually help me. I don't think they do pilots like this anymore, unfortunately, but it was great. They got wind of Hugimals. They were like, we'll help. We sent them to 5 different hospitals. And when the feedback came in, the hospital staffers were saying, these calm our most agitated patients in minutes. How can we order more? And at that point I was like, okay, these work. I'm quitting. I'm starting a company.
Wow. And this pilot program, talk to me more about that. Was the pilot just, we have a place for you to send your product, you have to send us this much product, and you pay a fee to do that?
I didn't pay a fee. There were like certain hospitals who had needs for their patients that they were looking for help to meet. And the Toy Foundation at the time.
That's the nonprofit arm of the Toy Association, right?
Yes, the Toy Foundation. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Oh. So,
well, we might have to reach out to them and talk to them about that because if there's any way we could help them do that again with the connections we have with students with inventory, that would be amazing.
That would be incredible because that feedback solidified the efficacy of the product that I was launching so much that I was like, okay, it's ready to be out in the world. I have validation now.
And I bet you had messaging, like the messaging that they said probably was what you used to pitch it, right?
Absolutely. Most of them were child life staffers at hospitals. They're amazing and there's not enough of them. Basically, they coordinate between the families and children and the hospitals and make sure that the kids know what's going on and what to expect and all that stuff. But they were the ones deploying the Hugimals and was like, we keep these under lock and key because we don't have that many. Maybe it was more than 5, but they were like, we give these to our code Bear kids. And I didn't know what code Bear meant. And I was like, what is that? She's, well, we can't say code red over the loudspeaker when a child needs intervention or security. So we say code Bear, which I thought was just the most adorable thing. And they gave the code Bear kids a Hugimal and they were like, it changes their perception of what's happening in the room and they're calmer within minutes. And I still get chills thinking about that feedback. So yes, I infuse every early piece of marketing material with that feedback.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many did you give for this pilot program?
I think it was around 100.
Wow, that's it. I want to give people listening like an understanding of, okay, how much should I maybe invest in creating before I go to full production? You happen to already be in full production because you had a licensing deal that ended you with a lot of inventory. But if somebody were trying to replicate your process but couldn't land a licensing deal, and then they said, okay, well, maybe instead I'll create 100 samples and send them somewhere to get that feedback.
You can do it on a much smaller scale. Talk to your local health centers, social work centers, since I've done that, I don't think you need to go that big to get validation, first of all. So you don't need to make 100 units. You can make 10 and deploy them to people in need in different ways and get that feedback. But that feedback is your validation to yourself and to other people that this product deserves a place in the world. Since then, I have been working with nonprofits who have used Hugimals in heartwarming and heartbreaking ways. One nonprofit is associated with the FBI, and they give Hugimals to kids and teens who are victims of traumatic crimes that the FBI investigates. So if you can imagine, just terrible, terrible stuff. And they found success with using Hugimals as a comfort tool. Another one gave them to kids, siblings who are separated in different foster homes. So they're hugging the same thing at night. But if I hadn't done that pilot program, I would have loved to work with the nonprofits, but I don't know if they would have come to me or if it would have worked out. But that kind of validation works so much in your area that you're friendly with, you can contact. That's another way. It doesn't have to be a hospital.
Oh my gosh, that is such great insight. That is fantastic. I'm totally taken into another direction. Earlier in your answer, you did say you had a licensing deal and that did not work out and you ended up on your own. But I just want to float that to people. Like sometimes the path you think you're going to go on is not the path you go on. I tell my students you can be an inventor who licenses ideas, or you can be an entrepreneur who manufactures and sells your ideas, or you could try both and see which one works out. And there's nothing wrong with changing paths, and you did amazing changing your path.
Thank you. Not all of it was self-directed. Some of it happened, and then you have to decide what to do, like choose your own adventure. Like you're here now, what path do you take? It's not just me. There's people I know who have tried one and it didn't work out and they did the other.
Amy Porterfield shared one of her episodes on my podcast this past week, and she also talked about a partnership that she had in her business that almost cost her business. Yeah. And that was about, I'm going to say 4 years ago. It almost cost her business. But like she was forced into making a big decision, and look at where she is today. She's fine. But it isn't interesting to know that you didn't necessarily have to pay for your very first run because it was a license deal. If things were different today, what do you think you would have done differently if you did have to pay for that first run yourself?
Basically, like I did pay a big chunk of my own capital that I haven't seen back yet. It is just expensive to start a business if you're starting it like as a business right away. I didn't want to do Kickstarter. People were like, do a Kickstarter, I'll try that. I mean, I think it's just my personality. Like I hated school. I hated college because I didn't think it was real. I was like, get me to real life. Like I graduated college early. I was like, this is fake. Can I just be out in the real world, like living my life? So I think it was the same thing. I didn't want to do a Kickstarter. I just wanted to launch a real business and see if it worked.
Wow, you're hardcore. So once you went out on your own, I want to talk a little bit about distribution. It's not something we talk about too much on this podcast. When you were first starting, did you even know what distribution was?
I had an idea, but I didn't know the scope of it.
What do you know now that you wish you knew then?
I had a sales partner who worked a long time in the toy industry. And I'm the kind of person that like, I know what I'm good at. I did our own launch press, that kind of thing we can talk about, but I didn't know anything about the toy world. And I didn't want to find out without having somebody who did know. So I have had a partner who has explained sales from the start. There's direct to consumer, which is your website, usually Shopify. So I knew to make a Shopify site and try to start selling. And that's all I knew. And then it was like, should we go on Amazon? And I was like, oh, what does that look like? Okay. Am I going to do it myself? I know founders who do Amazon themselves, and I just don't have that strength. It's like a black hole. Okay, we're on Amazon. My partner and her team are helping me, which is great. Then, okay, specialty retail. I didn't even know what that word was. I launched at the Astra, show, and I didn't even know what specialty retail was. And it's just small stores or small chains of stores, like one or two, owned by like real people in your town. It's like the mom and pop shop. I just didn't know what that was. And okay, should we try to target specialty? There's challenges with our product. It's a premium product. Actually, you can remove the weighted insert. It looks like a gingerbread man.
I actually haven't done that. Oh my gosh, it's so well hidden.
It's hidden, right?
I've never noticed that.
I thought you knew.
No.
Yeah, so there's Velcro. You can feel the weighted insert. It has little tiny glass beads, and the reason you don't want to do natural materials like rice or anything, and I have a lot of people being like, can I make my own Hugimal? I'm like, you can. And they're like, I'm just going to use seeds. I'm like, you should not use a natural material like seeds or rice or anything natural because
for moisture?
It can mold. It can mold, and you don't want that anywhere around you. That's why people use glass beads. And so, the weighted insert's removable. The Plush is machine washable. So it was a material. It was a premium product. It cost $64. That's the price I landed on when I looked at the market. And so it's not going to be a Target product. It's not an in-store product. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I had to be like to start thinking about my audience and even like retail, like who would appreciate a high quality product like this and who should we not even talk to. So I just started learning as I went because I had a really great sales mentor who has taught me a lot. The thing with Hugimals is not only toy, a lot of thought about, okay, so we're now in Uncommon Goods, we're in Sharper Image, we're in like these places that aren't
Sharper
necessarily.
Image.
Remember the Sharper? Yeah, we're in their catalog. It's so cool. All these like different cool, I didn't even know existed anymore, but we're on QVC now. You know, we've been on QVC for about a year. We're in a lot of different channels now that I would not never have known or discovered as quickly how to get in. So I absolutely recommend hooking yourself up to a professional who has done this, because as I said, the toy industry, there's people who know what's going on and how to do things. And if you don't, you can try, but it will take a lot longer than if you,
Right.
have a consultant for a
Mm-hmm.
short time or a contractor. I still don't have any full-time employees for my company. We just
Yeah.
turned 2 this summer.
Amazing.
It's just me. I'm the only full-time
Wow.
employee, but I have amazing contractors who help me with
Yeah.
things I don't know how to do.
Right. No, I love that, because I was actually thinking, I'm like, man, I was like, I don't know. How did you do this without TCA? I don't know. But you honestly did a lot of the work that I teach my students to do, like research the market, go to the shows, meet people and service providers. I think the biggest difference
Yeah.
is just having one person give you a lot of options and suggesting which
Yeah.
direction to go for you. But you did all that legwork yourself. Like you did it all
Yeah.
yourself.
And it was not a smooth process, I
Right.
will say. There were a lot of bumps along the road.
Sometimes it's okay. Like I get people coming to me all the time who like have already spent several $1,000s developing their
Yeah.
product in the wrong direction. And I have to
Yeah.
tell them in the nicest way possible, like, I know you're not going to want to hear this, but you kind of have to start over. But it's not a bad thing, because you wouldn't
Yeah.
even be here today talking to me with the experience that you already have to bring to the table if you didn't do that. So it's fine. It's just par for the course. Everyone has their own journey.
At this point, I mean, you get this a million times more than me, but because now I'm 2 years into running this company, I get other toy founders and product founders like asking for advice all the time, and you're smart to charge for it. But I do like to help people who are where I was, because I was helped. Like I just went to Toy Fair and started talking to people. That's what I did. And it's hard to do that. I'm a deep introvert, but I had a product I believed in and I did it. So absolutely, I will help people. And I am the first to say very bluntly, like, you need to change your packaging, because I would want to hear that. I would have wanted to hear that. I don't want someone telling me, in a nice way, what they can tell just quickly and bluntly.
Yeah, sometimes I'll tell people things like that and I can tell they don't want to take it.
Yeah.
So then I have to be like, you know what? Go talk to this person. And I know that person's going to say the same thing. And
Send them to me. I will tell them.
I should start doing that, because it's a hard thing to hear. I've been there. I've had a friend tell me like where I should show my product when I was doing my costume company, and I did not listen to her. I did not believe her, and she was totally right. I wasted years just trying to sell it on Shopify instead of going where my customers were at, which at the time was on Etsy. You just have to listen. I know it's hard, and you're like, I just did all this work, but there are people actually trying to give you a shortcut. Like they're actually seeing how good your product is, and they're seeing there's faster potential somewhere else. And that's all they're trying to do. Just put a timeline on it. Say like, all right, I'm going to try this new packaging that Marina told me to do, and I'm going to give it 6 months. And if nobody likes it, I'm going to move on. Just give it a shot.
Yeah. I mean, when you do what I did and just start talking to people, you're going to get a lot of different advice.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to wade through. What do you listen to? What don't you listen to? That's why the most valuable advice I got was from potential customers. Like they would tell me like this or not like this. There were people in the toy industry, absolutely. Linda, like, it was like, I'm so sorry, your prototype is not going to cut it. Like, my prototype is not this. I needed to hear that. Like, it should not be on its side. Like, why would you want to do that? It can't make eye contact. It can't hug. So I was like, yeah, you're right. I wanted to hug you back, and it doesn't. It just sits on you. And so people are going to open your eyes, but I talked to a lot of like potential customers, and the advice that I really took to heart. Like, what would you want?
Yes. I would give people this tip. When you're asking people for advice, take the advice, but then also ask them why they're giving that advice.
Absolutely.
Because when you go back and you're sitting in your office and you're figuring out which advice you're going to take, understanding why someone did what they did is going to help you understand if that advice can actually apply to you. Because if somebody, honestly, like race can make all the difference. If somebody gave you advice because their race allowed them to get into a small Black owner's business conference that helped propel my business to the next level. I can't come here and tell Marina, oh, you know what you should do? You should join a small Black business conference. That's not going to work for you. Everybody has like a different journey, and you need to figure out like why they're giving you that advice so you can properly apply it to your business or know that it won't work for you.
That's amazing advice. That's an amazing tip. I mean, I do think one of the hardest things about starting something is filtering all the advice that you get, just filtering it. And sometimes you're going to make the wrong decision. It is ultimately your gut decision. But if several people are telling you the same thing, then listen.
Yeah, actually, you're giving me an idea. We're going to put a custom chat GPT tool in the show notes where you could put in all the advice you've gotten and put in your specific scenario or situation in your business, and it will suggest what you should do with the advice you've gotten. That will be cool.
So I love it. The making it in the toy industry GPT.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, it is the making it.
Gotta do it. Right. It's so good.
Go to thetoycoach.com/podcast and find this episode for that. Okay. I want to quickly go on to topic number 2. I want to talk a little bit about your marketing, which is ridiculous, your growth, your scale. Hugimals has received insane attention from the media. Time, Parents Magazine, Toady Award nominee. I hope you get nominated again. What's your secret to getting that level of press for a 2-year-old brand?
So for the awards, you just apply and you make it sound really convincing. And I'm a writer, editor, and I even use ChatGPT sometimes. I'll be like, more heartfelt.
More
more heartfelt. You know what I mean?
This, but better.
Yes, exactly. I will say ChatGPT, if you use it, you need to edit it very closely. Yes. It needs an editor. You can't just use whatever it spits out.
No.
But I mean, the awards, I don't know if there's an art or science to that necessarily, but being buzzy does help with those two. And the way that I did my own launch press, and I will never have that energy to do that again. But I used all the energy I had. I called in every favor I had. Oh my God. If you're launching something, you have one chance to make an impression. And that was something that was told to me that I was like, I was so scared about that. Like somebody was like, you got one chance. It's just how it is. You can continue to do press. You can continue to launch products, but when you put your brand out into the world, you have one chance. And it's the scariest advice I ever got, but it's also true.
Oh my God. I wish I had that advice. I didn't. So wait, talk to me about that. Like every time I launch Toy Creators Academy, for me, I have that launch day. But when you were doing your launch, it just looked like you were having media attention every day for like 2 years, honestly. Did you have a specific launch day in mind? And were you intentionally applying for a certain number of media? Did you have a calendar that you could share?
Okay, so I think everybody has an unfair advantage. My unfair advantage is that I was a magazine editor. So I was fielding hundreds of pitches a day. When I worked at Cosmo, I would get pitches for motor oil and I would instantly put them in the trash because what are you doing pitching? Like we don't cover cars necessarily. So I knew what to do and what not to do when writing a pitch. I'm not a PR person, but I was on the other side getting the pitches. So I knew how to write a pitch. And I had some contacts in the media world. And honestly, that really did help. However, the industry has changed so much since I was an editor that I don't know a lot of people at a lot of publications, and I pitched cold, just like anybody else would. That said, if you know anybody, a friend of a friend, a cousin's daughter who works at any publication, you need to call in all of your favors at that point. I will say, like, having contacts and relationships is the number one thing that will help you get press. And that's really hard to get. So cousins, mother's daughter, cousins, friends, anybody that you know who has any job at any online publication, you need to contact them, send them a sample, like court them, because that really, really will help and it will repeat itself.
Can we talk through how you call in a favor? Because I feel like some people listening might be like, oh, so I'll just tell them I launched a Plush brand and they should feature it, right? No, like, I think you mean more like professionally call in a favor.
It depends on how well you know them. Okay. But I mean, I was DMing people I used to work with. And when you say launch day, I didn't have a calendar, like do this, do this, do this necessarily. My launch day was the day after I quit my job. And I posted on my own Instagram that I'm launching this thing. And here's a picture of me with a Hugimal. That really was it.
Oh my
And I waited to see, is anybody gonna like this? Like, I left a 20-year media career to launch stuffed animals. What do you think? You knew I was working on it. Like, it was just like a weird. And so people were like reacting. They're like, like, what are you doing? I'm like, why? It was like that reaction. But I think for like the surprise, I don't know if people like were concerned about me personally, like what I'm doing, but it did endear people to the project. And so people would share on their own stories, honestly, like that is sometimes even more valuable than press. Your mom,
Yes.
your friend, your cousin, your cousin's friend, have everybody share on their Instagram,
Mhm.
Facebook, any social media they have. That is grassroots marketing.
And you started to say that the industry
Yeah.
has changed so much. Can you give us like 2 or 3 ways it's changed so much?
Yeah. First of all, it's much more of a gig economy, so there's less people on staff and more freelancers.
Oh,
Writing these gift guides that you want to get in, right? So it's not
interesting.
necessarily like the same editor every time covering it or the same writer on staff. It's like a lot of freelance people that you don't know that are like being tasked with writing these gift guides. Number two, I think like a lot of industries, it has folded in on itself a little bit. Like the salaries are not what they once were. There's
Mhm.
not as many job openings. And now there's a lot of very young people writing a lot of volume of articles every day. And so the
Yeah.
quality, if you have that happening, the quality goes down too.
Yeah,
So,
I've seen it,
you
yeah.
know, I think it's a lot of like volume work. The third thing is that everything now is about affiliate marketing, especially if you have a
Mm,
product. So, a main publication, Travel and Leisure, Cosmopolitan, Glamour, InStyle, Parents, whatever, most of those publications will not cover your product unless they get a cut. That's how they stay alive now. It's a much different business model. So the way that you do that is you either go on Amazon, and those types of publications love linking to Amazon. And that's because they get a cut of everything somebody has in their cart, not
yes,
just your
that I
product.
do the same thing.
And
Whenever I
so,
have a guest like
yeah,
yours who has a product on Amazon, I'm like, "Yeah."
you do the same thing. You know, you're an
Yeah.
affiliate. Getting on Amazon is a great, easy way to have an affiliate at the ready. If not, most of the publication, and it's changing too, but most of them use something called skim links. And you have to sign up for Share a Sale, which is a huge affiliate platform, and then invite skim links to join your deal or whatever they call it. And then anytime you pitch the media in your pitch, we are on Skimlinks and Amazon. Here's our Skimlinks ID. So that's another way they use Skimlinks. So Amazon Skimlinks, Nordstrom, I'm seeing a lot more on Common Goods, but those are the best places to be on that give you the best chance of coverage because those publications get a cut of the sale.
Girl, that's a great tip. That's great. Rewind right here and then just listen and then we're back. Okay.
You're going to be spinning your wheels if you're pitching yourself for gift guides without affiliate.
Damn. What year do you see that change?
So when The Strategist launched, New York Magazine's The Strategist, Wirecutter, those kinds of places that do just product reviews, you know, like it really started with that, 2018, and then it just got stronger. Way before Hugimals, I was doing a newsletter, personal newsletter project called Underrated, and I would interview notable actors, chefs, musicians, writers about their favorite places and things they were not paid to endorse. And so I like
Mm,
very early I got on Amazon affiliate like you and I started earning a commission, but with my full-time job I just couldn't keep it going. And then the
right.
strategist launched right after that. And I was like, okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was doing the right thing. I just didn't have the bandwidth to do it.
It's really hard. Like there are times in my weekly newsletter, I have a column section that says like toys I'm loving right now. And
Yeah.
when there are toys that aren't on Amazon, I'm like, oh, why aren't you on Amazon? But
Okay.
I don't love
Yes.
Amazon either. I honestly, I don't encourage my students to put all their products on Amazon. I say put one of your assortment there just for this reason, because of how hard it is to combat knockoffs on Amazon for
Well,
newbies. Right.
yeah. The struggle is real. Yeah. You said something that
Yeah.
was really flattering and important. You said we were the first to really be a weighted plush brand in the toy world. And I think that's true. And since then, you've seen proliferation of weighted plush companies in the toy world, one of whom was taking pictures of all of my assets in my toy fair booth when I turned my back. And 6 months later came out with a line of weighted stuffed animals.
You're lying.
Oh no, 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 no. They're a huge company, big company. It's easy for them, just like that, you know, but theirs have no soul. They don't look like ours. They can't make them as high quality as ours. So it's just a customer. If you want this, yeah,
I feel like
exactly.
maybe 5 years ago, they might have been able to, but now they can't.
No,
No.
exactly. So knockoffs are real. If you look on Amazon, we are Hugimals. Now there's Hug Love, La Hugalump, Lum Lump, Hug Love. There's every hover weighted plush,
So, like,
every brand.
how do you keep it going? Because even I struggle
Yeah.
with I don't know if we could call it imposter syndrome, but more like doubt, self-doubt when you see somebody mimicking what you feel is core to your brand. Because since I've been the toy coach, I've seen other new the toy things come out. And I'm not even the first the toy. There was actually the toy queen that I didn't know of before I started. But the people that I've seen come out did know of me and intentionally did what they did. But when I see those things, at first, I can't help but feel like, almost like you said with the strategist, do I have the bandwidth to keep going up against this thing? How do you maintain the bandwidth when you do see hug this, hug that? How do you do it?
I try not to look. Honestly,
same.
I mean, just look at the reviews of the knockoffs, right? Like one of them caught a child with its Velcro, like one of them, they're just uncomfortable. This is coming off, this popped off, if you look at the reviews, the difference is clear, but it's hard. And I think the only way to combat that I've been able to figure out is just to continue to innovate, separate yourself. So we have Hugimals. In April of this year, we launched the Heart to Hug pillow, which is a weighted plush pillow. Yeah. And then next week, we're launching several new product lines that some of them first of its kind. You have not seen this thing before.
I'm so excited.
For kids, for adults. Yeah, it's exciting.
What is it? What is it?
I love your excitement. Okay, so some of the products are more like adult leaning and some are more kid leaning. The more adult leaning ones, we have our 5-pound pillows. Now we have 8-pound supersized ones. Ooh. And so many of our customers are like, please make a heavier thing. Like, I want something to crush me. That's what they say. So we made a heavier one and a really cozy like pocket, like a muff. And so restless hands if you're anxious, cold hands if you're cold, stick them in there and it's like the most comfy thing. It's the best gift ever. There's one that's round. So if you don't want a heart, you can have a round one that's 10 pounds. And then we've got the Hug Ball, and that's a kid leaning product that I worked with occupational therapists to create. It's a weighted plush ball of 3 pounds. It has different color sensory plush on it. So each of the 3 balls feels like a different breed of puppy, right? One's like a poodle, one's like that. And then they have 2 faces, one on each side for social emotional learning. So the faces can help kids or anyone express emotions or needs if they can't express them otherwise or they're learning to. So it's sort of like a therapeutic, fun toy product. Yeah, so that's cool. And then coming next month are Hug Babies. So each Hugimal has a baby, 4 inches.
That is literally the idea I had for you.
And they wrap around your wrist or backpack or ankle. So you can take hugs on the go.
So, okay, here's a photo idea I have for this. I've been doing acupuncture. So when you were describing this, I was like, oh, what if she had like tiny ones and I could just put them all over my whole body? Have a photo shoot of like little Hugimals like on my whole body. That would be a cute photo, right?
That would be an adorable photo. We did a photo shoot with the Hug Baby. So they don't hug with weight. They hug by nature of their...
Oh, there's no weight on them.
There's no weight on them. So you can put it on your backpack. We had 2 child models in that photo shoot. And the little girl, she was maybe 10. We had some Hugimals there, right? And so she put every Hug Baby, there's 6 on her arms, like 9 on her arms. Cool. And she asked the photographer, can I Simba? And so she took her cat Hugimal and she raised it.
That is awesome. Yeah.
She came up with that herself, and I love that. Like, I love when our models have ideas.
Oh, a good model is everything.
She was great. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
It's so exciting. Yeah. Right in time for the holidays. Gifts for everybody, for dad, for mom, for friends, for kids. So the Hug Babies are $11 retail on our site. The 5-pound heart that we have them now, the bigger pillows, the 8-pound and the 10-pound ones are $88, which is still over $100 less than the other weighted pillow on the market.
Oh, really?
We work really hard to make our products accessible for people. Hug balls are $30, and we have some new plushies, a different line coming out early next year, which is exciting. And I can't talk about.
Okay, have you been approached by big box, Target, Walmart? Have you?
No, they don't know that we're launching all these new products. So to them, it's like a 2-product company. We've got Hugimals and we've got the Heart to Hug pillows, which we actually launched with the Joyful Heart Foundation and Mariska Hargitay from Law & Order SV who founded it. So that was an amazing partnership. And I also just want to grow out the line before I entertain bigger conversations.
Okay. She's like, not
now. I want to be a world, Hugimals world, not just a Hugimal.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. Okay. So I want to roll back a little bit. You mentioned that you worked with occupational therapists, and I'm asking this question selfishly because I just want to do something like this. So I want to work with external people to create products. And I'm curious, when you do that, how do you form that relationship? Is it like a written agreement that says maybe they're getting paid a flat fee to give their feedback? Maybe it's volunteer, maybe it's a percentage. How do you do that?
My whole theory with all of this has been ask forgiveness, not permission. Right. Just go as fast as you can. And no, I don't give them a percentage. I don't pay them. So when I was first creating Hugimals, I was a journalist. So I called them up and I'm like, I'm a journalist. I'm working on a product. Would you be willing to talk with me about what you think this product should be? And so they helped me just with like their insights and multiple interviews. And then I would send them the sample and they would help. In order to promote the product, they would need a fee because these are big, experts that appeared in the press all the time. And so at that point, I wasn't ready for them too. For the Hug Ball, I worked with occupational therapists who had become fans of Hugimals and had contacted me being like, I love the product. I use it in my practice because Hugimals are now used in psychologists' offices and occupational therapy practices, which is so cool. That just makes it so worth it for me to run this company. It's not easy. So I just became friendly with some of them and I asked if they would help, look at this copy or look at this product or talk to me about this or that kind of thing. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. I do have to wrap up the marketing question and this is probably going to be a quick answer for you. Haro changed to something recently called, what's it called?
Connectively. I don't use it.
You don't.
Haro started up again. It's not as robust and absolutely subscribe. It's totally free. It's an email that comes every day with queries from journalists looking for sources or products to feature in their articles. And some days it'll be nothing related to you. And some days it'll be like the perfect thing for you. So you can easily just email the journalist, like pitch a thing. So I did want to talk a little bit more about pitching journalists.
Okay, before we go forward, Haro stands for Help a Reporter Out. We'll put the link in the show notes. They did try to change to a pay-to-play platform. I'm so glad to hear that they're starting back up. I guess, I don't know what happened. But yeah, please share. What do you want to share about pitching? Go.
The original founder started Haro up again because some of the other platforms are not as helpful. Like they're paid. I haven't tried Connectively. Have you?
Didn't either. No, because I'm like, I'm not going to pay for this. I have tons of media contacts. And even if they're still not at that place, they're probably somewhere else. And we'll just talk and they'll just tell you like, no, here's it. No.
So here's the trick to pitching the media. You have to read the media. Like you have to, you know what I mean? Like, okay, so here's what I mean about that. So if you want to pitch Magazine X, you have to go online and read Magazine X or buy it at the newsstand or whatever if they're still on the newsstand. But look at what columns they have, like that they do every month. Look at the names. One really, really, really great, very, very easy thing that is time consuming but not hard. Look at who your competitors are. Google them under the news vertical, not just all of Google, but choose news. Just like there's images, videos, there's news. So you pick the news and you'll see instantly who has covered them recently, what publications. So you go to the publication that has covered your competitor or a product in your realm and you look at how they're covering it. Is it in a gift guide for kids? Is it in a gift guide for moms? Whatever it is. Then you look at who's writing those stories and that is who you pitch.
That's exactly what I teach in TZA, yes.
And that is why people source out PR because a lot of it is about relationships, but PR agencies have the relationships they have. And once they've exhausted those, there's not much they can't do for you.
Yes.
I feel like founders have a superpower to do their own PR.
Agreed.
A lot of editors get pitched by this like PR machine. They know that it's a mass spam email that they're pitching a million people. There's no heart. Like when I first pitched, I was like, hi, my name is Marina. I'm a former editor at these places and I just founded this company and I think it would be great for this column. And, here's a little bit more, here's the price, here's where we're available, some photos and that's it. And like, that's even more heartfelt, like I think some editors really appreciate that.
I think so
just as long as you know what they write and you don't contact the person who does kitchen gadgets.
I think they do too. And it's funny, when I first started the Toy Coach, I had a task, which I tell my students to do the same thing. Every week I would pitch 10 outlets. That's what I did every week.
That's great.
So when we launched, it was like media because I was like pitching. And then I hired someone to help me with it. And she was an internal team member. So it was a little bit better. So what I noticed, and tell me if you notice the same, it's like the really high level places, like when I got on Marie Forleo, when I got on Amy Porterfield, when like those places, I feel like they liked her pitching for me. But again, she was very personal. She wasn't like when you hire a PR media company, they pitch me too for the podcast and they just say, Bob Wilson is an amazing person that you should have on your podcast. And here's his book and here's his website and you should have Bob on your show. And they don't even listen to my show. But my person would send them letters that I wrote and say, Azhelle, and like very personal. She created this for this reason. It gave a vision of we were bigger because she was helping me do it, but it was still personal and it wasn't like that mass PR send.
Yeah. So I really love that. I love that at the beginning, especially if you don't have other press or a celebrity endorsement or something to make people take notice. Because once you've been featured in an outlet or two that are like a name outlet,
Yeah.
more outlets are just more willing to feature you because they're busy and
FOMO.
tired and they don't want to vet a bunch of new products. But if you've been featured in XYZ magazine that they know of, like it's a legit product, you're not going to scam. I love that idea of at first. I know people who create a fake PR person and pitch themselves from another email too. Like if they can't pick someone, I know people have done that and like swear by it because it does sound more professional.
Yeah.
For me, I do think I had an advantage because I could say I was an editor at these places. So I'm not like some random person. Yeah. However, like the second you get a piece of press, say I've been pitched here, later on, you're not going to want to like blast, let's say Cosmo. I've been covering Glamour as your competitor. It might annoy people. But if you're new, anything that can validate, even if you can say like, I've worked with experts on this, or a statistic like this many people are experiencing anxiety and it's grown this much this year and this product is a salve for that, make it relevant to the public conversation because those are the stories that they're writing. Like by pitching, you're not pitching to get your product featured. That is not your goal. Your goal is to make the editor's life easier by giving them something cool to cover that their readership will like. I mean, as an editor, I've gotten so many pitches saying like, please feature me. Yeah. And they don't care. Like, no, in the trash. What's in it for me? I need to know, like, you wrote a story on this last month. And I think this will fit into that topic in the zeitgeist this way, like that.
One example, like I just saw a pitch before our call. Someone pitched me some dance game, someone who used to work at Paramount created, and they're looking for press. And the only reason I responded, because it was a generic PR pitch, is because I'm a dancer. So I was like, oh, I would love to do an episode where I get to dance. Yeah, let's do an episode. But I know they have no idea what my podcast is. I know they don't know who I am. They just have a mass list and they just emailed this out. And it makes me feel some type of way, but lucky enough, I really like dance.
They made a personal connection. That's something that worked for them. Like if you're a pediatrician and you made a product, if your kid has been dealing with this thing, put that in because their kid might be too, or whatever it is. But that's a great example. You don't know. It might make a personal connection with someone that...
It did. I saw, seriously, it was like Paramount dance, done. I was like, reply.
Well, it's exactly what we've been talking about, right? Paramount is a big, legit name. Dance is something you're interested in. Same thing for editors. Big name / validation, even if it's work, whatever, plus something that's interesting to them. And that by reading what they have written.
Well, I should have said it's a dance game. So like game, it fits my podcast. Dance, it fits me. Paramount, betted. So done.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Imagine like how much farther they could have gotten if they were like, hey, Azhelle, we love your podcast.
Oh my God.
Like we heard you talk about that you used to be a dancer. That is like what you want. That's
honestly,
what you want.
I also want like these PR people to just remove their PR signatures. Every time I see a PR signature, I'm like, you don't care. You don't even know who you're emailing right now. Like, I hate those PR signatures. Like, I hate it. It just makes me think, are you even going to open my reply? That's actually another thing. The PR companies don't always respond to the reply because they send out so many masses.
That's crazy. They need to respond to their reply.
I know. Or they'll take a month and then I'm like, sorry, I'm booked.
That's crazy. They're wasting you as a really amazing source. Another thing I will say is if you can offer to send a sample because people like free stuff, or at least they'll have it. And if it's in the office and people like it, like that's happened to me with Esquire of all publications. Like they still do go into the office some of the time. And somebody contacted me from them. I think it was a freelancer doing a gift guide being like, hey, I just featured your product. And I don't know if she heard about it through, I don't know. I don't think I pitched her directly. I was like, I would love to send some to your editor at Esquire so they can try it out. And I think she would love that. Here's their address. So I sent some to the editor and then I got an email from the editor being like, everybody in the office is obsessed. Everybody wants to get this for their people for Christmas. Gosh. Like, it's worth it to send it and have them touch and hold and play with.
Honestly, I tell my students, I'm like, you guys have it easy. Okay, I'm out here trying to market a digital product, a coaching service. Y'all have physical products that emotionally connect with people. You are so lucky. Like, this is like the thing people want to write about. They don't want to write about me. They want to write about this, like this Hugimals.
They want to use you.
Yeah. They'll use me as a source, but
which is great.
Yeah, they're like, don't talk about yourself. Could you just talk about all your students? Like,
but a physical product, if it's a great product, you want to get it into the hands of the editors you really like.
Yeah. Oh my God, Marina, this has been an amazing conversation. And I'm actually, after our closing questions, I'm going to float a little idea by you. So stay on the line if you have a sec. Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. So closing questions. Where can people go to purchase their Hugimal?
Yeah, you can go to Hugimalsworld.com. That's our website. That's the place to go. You can find Hugimals on our Hugimal store on Amazon. We are in Uncommon Goods. We are in a lot of brick and mortar stores too, but Hugimalsworld.com is the best place.
We will also do a blog post all about Hugimals to go along with this episode. So if you
Yeah.
send me your store list, we can include it in that blog post.
Perfect. I love that. I will.
Okay. Awesome. And then my favorite question, what toy or game blew your mind as a kid?
So I had a stuffed animal. I don't know where it came from. It was a rabbit. It was small, but I was obsessed with that thing. I just would stare into its eyes. I thought it had the cutest face. It was my friend. If I was sad, I would like look into his eyes. And I don't think it was smiling now that I think about it, like Hugimals, but it was just such an emotional connection to that thing. I don't know why. I would always like pull its ears back so I can look at its cute face better. I just remember doing that. I loved, loved, loved that stuffed animal.
What color was it?
I think light tan.
Did you have a name?
I think I called it Silver.
Oh, cute. I also had a bunny. I got one for Easter. He was purple and he was Billy the bunny. Yeah,
That's
I
so
also
cute.
was super obsessed with this bunny. Like I remember my nanny wanted to wash him once and I cried because I thought he was going to die. I was like, he's going to die in there. What do you mean? You're just like, you're going to drown him.
Oh my God. Well, if we make a Hugimal bunny, what should its name be? Keep in mind,
Not Billy.
all of our Hugimals, they have gender neutral names. So it can be whoever you want them to be, but their names are gender neutral. I actually think I have a name picked out.
Have you ever had your audience vote on a name?
No, I've had my audience guess what character is coming tomorrow. And like someone who guesses it right wins it. I always do that.
Ooh, okay. Well, I wonder if people could guess the name of your bunny. Is it bunny? You said it's a bunny, right?
Well, that's not the next Hugimal.
Oh,
the next
okay.
Hugimal is something else, but Hugimals are, I mean, they're hard to make to get right. There's a lot of versions.
Wait, okay, not to go back to style. What's amazing is how they're all so different, but like they all look like they're in the same family.
They've got a look.
They got a vibe. Yeah. But thank you so much, Marina.
Thank you.
I do want to ask you to, maybe you can email me this, but I want to ask you to give a question for our next guest. This is something new that we're trying out on the podcast. So you don't know who the guest is going to be. You just have to give a question, and I'm going to ask them this question from you in our next interview. Well, this was incredible. In today's conversation, we covered major pitfalls of being a toy entrepreneur. We talked about distribution. I'm sure that piece of the conversation helped so many of you. But then media, I was not expecting us. I mean, I guess I should have because you're a former editor, but I didn't expect us to go so deep in on media. And I know that episode or this episode is going to be super helpful for people out there. And everything that we talked about in this podcast is perfect for people that might be wanting to start a toy line of their own. And so that you guys know that even if you start out on the entrepreneur path, you can change it up. You can go on the inventor path and vice versa. If you start licensing your ideas in inventor, things can get changed up and you can go the entrepreneur path. Don't get stuck to one way. Don't get stuck to one package design. Be open to taking criticism and critique from people that have been there before you. And Marina, thank you so much for all the insights from today's episode.
So fun to talk to you.
Yeah. And if you love this podcast and you haven't yet left a review, what are you waiting for? Your reviews keep me coming back week after week. And every time a new one comes in, I get notified on my phone and it really puts a huge smile on my face. I screenshot it, send it to my husband, the whole nine. So if you love this podcast, please like the podcast, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review. And as always, thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I know that your time is valuable and that there are a ton of podcasts out there. So it truly means the world to me that you tune into this one. Until next week, I'll see you later, toy people. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Making It in the Toy Industry podcast with Azhelle Wade. Head over to thetoycoach.com for more information, tips, and advice.